I'd like to start with asking y'all all a question. Why is prayer important to us? Why is it important? We as Christians know that prayer is a great part of our life and lifestyle. It's something we do that God commands us to. We even have an example of prayer in Matthew 6 from Jesus himself. We pray when we come to church services, even in our own homes we pray. And we do so multiple times a day, but with repetition and reoccurring words. Saying the same thing over and over again can lose its meaning or value to what's being said. Even when we are the ones listening to the prayer, we can tend to zone out, myself included. We can, especially if it's been a busy day, we let our minds wander elsewhere. The second we lose focus during prayer is the second we lose connection with God. When we just recite words for the 100th time, it's pointless and meaningless. This begs the question, how do we pray in a way that is pleasing to God? In order to answer this, we have to understand what prayer is. From Latin, we find the word precari, means to beg. Proseuchomai is a Greek word for prayer, and one of its meaning is to come towards or to come face to face with God. In taking the word straight from the dictionary, the definition for prayer is a solemn request for help or expression of thanks addressed to God or an object of worship. Prayer is speaking with God. It's how we communicate with Him. When we pray, we are to humble ourselves and put ourselves lower than Him. When we pray, we literally bow our heads to God. When we pray, we are going to the throne of God, and we are lower than Him. When we come to Him, we go to Him for thanks, to glorify Him, and to tell Him of our troubles, both physical and spiritual. Being able to speak with our Father at any time enables a good relationship with Him. But everyone knows to have a healthy relationship, continued communication is key. Prayer requires persistence. It requires persistence. In prayer, we like to address our physical needs to God. That's not wrong, but if that's the main point of our prayer, then we're not praying for the right reasons. We shouldn't be praying so we can get the things we want in this world. But oftentimes in prayer, we do just this. Even if not, we tend to want results immediately, especially when we pray for worldly things and the well-being of both ourselves and others. We as people are impatient. Naturally, we are impatient. Even fast food, we think, takes too long. Fast is in the name, and yet it takes too long. We want everything at that moment now. We can relate this to somebody wanting to pursue exercising or working out. If we don't see the results we want in under a week, we find it pointless and useless, and we give up, and we don't go back to it. When we pray for others, we should be patient and persistent. Things don't happen. We shouldn't expect things to happen right away when we want them. God has a plan for everything. Another example could be, well, I prayed for my grandmother. She's not doing well. She's sick. And I've been praying all day since just today, and she's not getting better. Nothing's changed. We as people are impatient, especially in this day and age where we expect instant gratification and pleasure. If y'all if you are not already, please turn to Luke 18. We find the parable of the widow in Luke 18. And we see that she had persistence as she continued to go to the judge for her troubles. Again, prayer is about persistence. In Luke 18, we see Jesus is speaking to the apostles on prayer. Verse 1, now he was telling them the parable to show that at all times they ought to pray and not become discouraged. We should always go to God for our troubles. He's always listening. We should not be discouraged, much like the widow was not. As we continue to read in verses 3 through 5, now there was a widow in the city, and she came to him saying, get justice for me from my adversary, to the judge. Verse 4, and he would not for a while. But afterwards he said within himself, though I do not fear God nor regard man, Yet because this widow troubles me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. God hears everything we tell him in prayer, but unlike the judge, he cares for what we have to say, and he listens. We must remember to be persistent in prayer, and not just for the things we want in this life. We must remember it's communication with him. And we have to remember, finally, that we are to humble ourselves during prayer, because we are going before the throne of God when we are in prayer. We are beneath him. This right here, how easy would it be to just, during a prayer, sit on this, pass the time quickly, go through texts or social media, see what's going on in the world until it's over. When we pray, we should have the Lord in our minds, not the troubles of this world, not anything going on in this world. When we pray, we need to remember why it is important in our walk as Christians. I thank y'all for your attention this afternoon. Thank y'all.